Robert Lighthouse is a native of Sweden who was given a book on Hopi culture and legend as a teenager. Feeling it matched his worldview, he came to the States and went straight to Arizona. To this day, he makes it a point to be in the States for planting in the spring and harvesting in the fall. While here, he had opportunities to study with the great blues masters and has developed his own unique style. Robert has completed 4 years of the Ukraine, has 4 tours of the Ukraine since the war started to raise funds for people who are fulfilling wish lists from frontline troops. His first CD, Drive-Thru Love, was released in 1998 and critically acclaimed. The second disc, Deep Down in the Mud, also received critical acclaim. Both CDs are available on Smithsonian Folkways. He is now working with Grammy winner Kevin McKendree's Qualified Records out of Nashville and has released 2 new singles this year. If they won't book you in heaven, try your luck in hell. That's great. And chronicles which chronicles what he saw in Ukraine and is accompanied by a powerful video. The second is a crowd pleaser favorite of his audience. She's Right. I'd like to welcome to the show Robert Lighthouse. So good to have you.
Very nice to be here.
It's so good. Yeah, so good to have you here. So. You have to explain the Hopi. I was born in Tucson, so and grew up. I didn't grow up there, but I was always felt connected there, and found myself always drawn to the Hopis for some reason. So I thought that was so fascinating that it is something that you were drawn to. What about the Hopi culture drew you to them?
Well, the very first thing was the Hopi means peace. They're peaceful. I always, grew up with Westerns back there in the 60s, watching it. So it was I was drawn to Indians or Native Americans, in general. And still, there's something very fascinating with, the Plains Indians and the horses and everything. But so the Hopi are agricultural, and they're not really warriors. I mean, they had to defend themselves against other tribes. There were warring tribes, basically came in and raiding their fields and stealing their food, but at other times when they were starving, the Hopis gave them food because, it was just the way life was there in the high desert. But so their whole worldview of understanding the planets and our Earth is a globe. They had all this knowledge just from probably passed on. Also, they had prophecies or they have prophecies of which I was 18 or 17 when I first read it, and so very impressionable young man, and they're talking about we're in the 4th world now, but we're going into the 5th. So right now there was a movie a long time ago with the music by Philip Glass in the 80s by the name Koyaanisqatsi. And Koyaanisqatsi means crazy world or world in turmoil, and I think pretty much everyone can agree that right now they could see we're in this, and it gets sort of crazier by the day. And the world is going to be covered with with cobweb, spider web. And I think probably, what's his name, that started, call it the World Wide Web. I'm sure he read about the Hopis too, so, it might have tied into, self-fulfilling prophecies right there.
Now, how did this transition? So you came from Sweden, you go to Arizona, right? I mean, is it Arizona? And you're with the Hopis there. How did you end up in blues? Was that something you were also interested in before you got here, or is that something you got interested in when you were here?
That was something so it started when I was 14. I always loved music, and I did play some guitar. But so my friend played some Muddy Waters for me, and I never heard. We listened to stuff like Uriah Heep and Nazareth was one group, and of course, what do they call the big one with a Smoke on the Water band?
Deep
Purple, bands like that. But to actually hear the blues played by one, you hear the single string, it really blew my mind. So,
so you enjoy the blues. You go to Arizona, and then where did you go to really immerse yourself in the blues? I traveled to. I was in Chicago, and played there on Maxwell Street. Back then, it was still happening at Maxwell Street, and I was on every Sunday. They had like they sell stuff in the streets there, and they have bands set up in empty lots, and just a bunch of people gathering, and I was sitting in there, and then, of course, then I went to Mississippi too, and New Orleans, but I ended up getting married here, and that's why I ended up in Washington, D.C., and I played on the streets here, so all the shoe shine men and everybody else that worked on the street, we were all hanging out with friends and helped each other out, so that was... Now, are you set up to play? Could you play us a song?
Yes.
I'm going to try to persuade you to play a song.
Yeah.
I saw when I was coming in, I wasn't sure what was going to be the setup and how, with our stuff, it's always never quite sure what's going to happen. And I came in and I saw the instruments. I'm like, oh, we're going to get some music. So, all right, here we go.
The Potomac River here in Washington has been also a great source of inspiration. And, whenever I didn't have to work, I had enough money to pay the rent and so forth, I would go out to the river and spend a day there fishing or just be out there. So the song here is called Me and My Son, because my son was born here in Washington in 2003, and then that same spring I could take him to the river. So the song is called Me and My Son. To the river where we go. Man, my little son, to the river where we go. We say hello, water, sit down and watch it flow. All the fish down there, many a little frog. All the fish down there, many a little fraud. Well, sometime when we're lucky, we see the turtles on the log. Ran into the ocean. Ocean ran into the sea. A river ran into the ocean. Ocean ran into the sea. I can't wait till my son is back home with me.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. So good. What was it about the blues that drew you towards it?
It's just some, like, hearing Muddy Waters. And by the way, happy Juneteenth, everyone. Today is the Juneteenth.
Perfect day.
Perfect day. And it was something that just hit straight to my heart. It's so universal. And you, like a man like Muddy Waters and all them bluesmen or songsters, whatever you want, what they were supposed to be called, just had a way to, and it's just something with it. It's hard to explain, but I mean, if you hear blues or you feel it, and it just changed my. I found my purpose. Remember Gary Larson? Right. So I found his purpose under the couch. So I just went after my friend Ola in Sweden. He played with his Muddy Waters, and I went home, played on my guitar, trying to figure out what those notes, how to do those. And from then on, that was our main. We were 14-year-old. We did a bunch of other fun things, of course.
Yeah,
but. Yeah.
And when you're working on your music, where do you draw from, for your songs?
So you may get an idea for the song, like the one, for instance, if they won't book you in heaven, try your luck in hell. I got the idea for the title actually. And it was a night we were in Dnipro with Max, and you hear between the air raid alarms and then Max's snoring that I couldn't, because we stayed at this hostel with beds were kind of close together.
And where in Ukraine were you?
In Dnipro, it's it's right by the river of the Dnieper River. Anyways, I couldn't sleep, and I got this title in my head. And then later, when we were in Kherson, where Max Max, he's from that town, so his mom and dad at that time, his dad was still alive then, but and aunt, we stayed with his aunt Olga, who lives on the 9th floor. She's like 85 years old or thereabout, and they don't have no elevators. You got to walk up the 8-9 flights, and carry water, and because you could use the shower, but you had to drink for drinking water. You got to carry it up. And anyway, so we stayed there, and to go back to your question, I had the idea for the song. So later, I just gathered up what happened during that. We were there about 48 hours, so we were there like 2 days, and all the things. There was crazy things that would happen, or adventurous. I mean, also crazy. Because they, half a mile away, you hear the boom all day long. It's, every 5 minutes or so, you hear they shell at each other at the river. Also, yeah.
And you've done 4 tours? Is that right? 4 tours there?
I've done 3 tours.
Oh, 3 tours, okay.
Since I've done many tours before, since 2012, but I did one March 23. That was the first one when this was happening. We went to Kherson, and then last summer in August, I was there Odessa and a bunch of other towns, and Kharkiv and Mykolaiv. I played a big in Mykolaiv, big outdoors little concert there. Lots of people came, and also there you hear the air raid alarms and the Russians that actually right next door just cry, a rocket had fell. So it's strange. It's like in Odessa, you go to the Black Sea, everyone is at the beach, and you're swimming on the beach, and then you hear the air raid alarm, and just. So
they're still living life, but
they're still living life, but
they're having at the beach.
It's everyone's still living life, and at night is usually when so at a hotel where he put me up. Our friend Yaroslav, the church there had been hit just like a block from where I was staying, and you could hear at night when they pow shooting down the rockets coming in. So it's
intense.
It's intense.
Can you play us the song?
Yeah, I'll play a song. So... Okay, I won't. I play this song, then if they won't book you in heaven, how's my hair? I don't really.
Perfect.
Just, okay. Train down to the front, we saw the destruction all around. Heard the thunder half a mile away from where they shelled. I was playing in the basement of a theater downtown. They won't book you in heaven, try your luck in hell. Joe say in army fatigues he's a war photographer. Dogs getting fat from eating corpses. He's got lots of stories to tell. Boom, $500 for just one shot. You know, they like those kind of pictures up in heaven. I saw a family reunite on the platform. Dad came home unharmed. All the kids are crying. A young soldier with his foot blown off, walking in the park with his girlfriend. Now the sun is shining. A young woman in the Russian quarters looks like Marilyn Monroe. The soldiers loves her and she knows it well. The whole time she gives out the coordinates from her phone, keeping busy working down in hell. On the train down to the front, we saw the destruction all around. Heard the thunder half a mile away from where they shelled. I was playing in the basement of a theater downtown. If they won't book in heaven, try luck in hell.
That's great. Now you are raising money for Ukraine as well.
Yeah. So my friends are Max Tavrishsky. He has belongs to a volunteer group, and then Mike Priss, who also belong to a different volunteer group, but they all collect money. And are in direct contact with these different brigades. They have several brigades that they stay in contact with, and they would order. So the soldiers would let them know we need batteries for our Motorola's or Motorola. So they can keep in contact out there. And there was something called REB, or some kind of because. I guess a lot of the warfare is done, on the internet, or
right.
Yeah. So to shoot down the drones, or to understand when they come, and as far I don't really, but even a helmet. Like one time it was like a helmet. They needed some helmets, and a U.S. grade, good helmet. Cost $350 just with a discount, so you can imagine what everything cost, and just bulletproof,
Absolutely,
all of the stuff.
Where can people find out more about that?
Marty said he was gonna have it posted here.
Yep.
So
we'll put it in the forum.
Yeah, because it's Mike's his PayPal account, and then on his page, on his Facebook page, every time they receive money, they list exactly what. So every penny goes to buying the materials and have it shipped out to where the soldiers are. So it's all this grassroots. I believe most of the Ukrainians that aren't in the aren't out there in the trenches. They're I've met people that they build drones, like very fancy. This guy was building drones that actually could come back and you reload them. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't like war at all, and all these wars that are going on now in Gaza and places. I wish they would just stop killing children and women and people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but since they, they trying to defend themselves, the Ukrainians. I mean, that's where everybody says we are defending ourselves.
Yeah.
But so yeah.
We got a couple questions coming in from the folks watching. Let's go ahead and jump into that first question.
First one comes from Tom Ryan in Washington, D.C., and he says, for Robert Lighthouse, we've heard a few new songs live over the past couple of years. Will these songs, maybe some others too, be on a new album in the near future, and which will be available on physical media from Qualified Records? Thank you.
Yes, I hope that they would be able to record some more songs in the near future. Yes. And if I don't know if you're asking me if I'm going to make CDs or physical like LP, I'm not sure. That's something I need to. All these things, takes a lot of effort, but I'm going to try to have something at least on CD form. Yes.
Next question.
Robert Gramling in Milwaukee, Wisconsin's up next. Hello, Robert. As a fellow harp player, I'm curious about the brand model you use. Thanks, and that's from Bob.
Oh, hi, Bob. I use the wooden marine band because I have my good harp player friend down in. Because I used to use Special 20s, like all Hohner. I'm not sure, but I mean that's the brand when it comes to harmonicas. Then there are a bunch of other brands that are great too. Anyway, so the marine band, the old wooden, because my friend Chuck Morris down in Charleston, South Carolina, he's a harp player, and he showed me examples of there's certain tones that you can only really get with a wood harp. There's a certain way where you tongue block and all that stuff, and you get a certain sound just without a microphone. And he showed it to me, and I realized that. So that's what I'm playing, the wood.
Next question.
Douglas Carmichael's up next, and Douglas asks, within the blues community, have many artists still eschewed modern technologies like amp simulators, he notes AXFX, Helix, et al., despite the practical advantages, especially in a live setting? So
what is he asking me?
I think he's mostly asking, most blues players aren't using a lot of effects. I'm like I said, I like the wood here, and I never liked. That's me personally, and I'm sure it could be. I like if it was good then, why the best amps they made was made in the 40s, 50s, the old Tweed deluxes, and the circuits they made were somehow magic, and it's something that happens with in a tube. If you're gonna have any kind of amplification at all, I like tube. So all the simulators is I made maybe a bad what is it called? If you want to go to Los Angeles, you want to go on a real airplane. You don't want to get into a simulator. Maybe that was a very bad one. You could go in a simulator, sitting there, and believe you went there, but you didn't really go there. a little far-fetched, but. Now you started. You're working with Kevin McKendree. How did that start?
He's from here. So he played with all the Big Joe and the Dynaflows back then. I think he played for Tom Principato. So we became, so after all of us, sooner or later that played similar music, we all met. And so he hosted out there in Fairfax, what's it called? Like a New Orleans, it was a club there where every Sunday he would do, I think it was Sundays, and he invited me out to play. So I played with him a bunch, doing my songs and things. So we've been friends, and he started wanting to record me a long time ago here, and they had a studio, here in Annapolis, I believe it was. Jeff Sarley was a bass player who tragically died way too young from being in an accident and car accident. But Jeff Sarley played with Rolling Stones too. It was on their album, playing bass. But so anyway, then Kevin moved on to Nashville and started playing with Delbert McClinton, toured with him and started his studio, built his studio down there. He lives in Franklin, outside of Nashville.
I think we had a question from Todd. Todd, do you want to just ask the question? Do you want to?
Surely,
yeah.
Of course. Robert, such a pleasure to hear you and to listen to you. Thanks to you for all of your work and your music. I wondered if your triple cone has a story, if it's vintage, and what that story is, if there is one.
I don't have a triple cone. It's just that one single cone.
Oh, goodness.
But I was given, somebody gave me a tricone. But I actually traded it for this one for some reason. At that time, I thought that worked better for me. I wish I could get that tricone back. Tricone
Is it
back.
vintage? Is it old? Does it have a?
It's not like the real old. It's not the real.
Gotcha.
Like this one is probably fairly new, like maybe 20 years old or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had one in my hands for in 1927.
See, that's something special.
Yeah, so I had to ask. Also, just a real shout out to Marty, because your sound is wonderful, and he's translated it into data for us all just so beautifully. So thank you to Marty for that as well.
Good. And Courtney, you want to add?
I was just wondering, is that a Gretsch honey dipper, or is that a national?
The resonator guitar. It's a Regal. This one is a Regal.
A Regal.
Yeah. Okay. But I have another one over in Europe. So when I go to Ukraine, I bring that one, and that's a Rogue, which is Chinese, but it's a brass body, and I like the brass body.
Right.
It's got a little warmer tone and things. And they were cheap. They were like $250 guitars. So, but they sound great.
And you're coming out you're working on a new release?
Yeah, I'm working on it, and I got several songs. I have one song I did. It's out on my other friend's label. My friend Chris Koip, that I recorded. So maybe could I play that song?
We would love to have you play it. Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
This one is called If I Was President. I wrote this song 2020. Donald Trump was president. We knew it was in February, and we knew that the COVID was on its way. And I heard his programs on the radio, like they didn't really know how to deal with it. Anyways, I wrote the song then. If I was president, I set things right. Make people less stressed out so they won't have to fight. Everybody would have a home, enough food to be content. Some of the things that I would do if I was president. You won't be allowed to work so much, but spend time with your family. Take your kids a fishing, or just be out with the birds and trees. I'm gonna cut working hours with at least 75%, and I would enforce it strictly if I was president. can end world hunger and stop wars everywhere. Instead of making things designed to kill, we can all have health care. And all you gamblers up on Wall Street, you would have to repent and start making honest living if I was president. Some folks really love guns. I don't even think they're good. Especially when you have to be packing when you're walking down your neighborhood. And arming the school teachers, it just crazy, makes no sense. And I wouldn't take money from the NRA if I was president. Yeah. Clean air and water is something everybody needs. We're about to destroy our beautiful home due to ignorance and greed. We better do something radical to take care of our environment. And that's something that sure can't wait no matter who be president. God gave us ability to think and to love and understand. It's time to wake up and pull our heads out of the sand. We can let a few crazy dictators take away our enjoyment. It's time to get together and find a better president. It's time to get together and find a better president.
That was great. Thanks. We've got a couple more questions coming in from our audience.
Douglas Carmichael's up next with one. He says, I notice you don't use pickups like the Fishman transducers on your instruments. Is there any specific reason?
I have a Fishman pickup on here, so I do use. But I plug those usually into a tube amp, like a good one, like maybe a Vibrolux or a. Sometimes you can go straight into PA, but somehow it sounds better for me to have a amplifier.
Next question.
Paul Wallace in Austin, Texas is up next. Who are the greatest champions currently living for the Hopi way of life, and how do we follow them?
Who are the champions?
Who do you think are folks that are really leading or protectors of the Hopi way of life? Are there any?
There are no specific people. I mean, and I can tell you this from my family. They're Corn Clan, and Beatrice, she worked at the tribe for years, and you know they got internal struggles there, and like power struggles, just like it's almost like a miniature thing of what's going on with with Donald Trump and his hush money and all the crazy stuff, and then so there are people struggle for power, and then so they have the that formal government, which is sort of based on Western style, but then they have their traditional one with the elders. So I think those two are sometimes in conflict.
Yeah.
So to really, I mean, you could hear if you want to. There's a great. They got their own radio out there, which is part of NPR, and it's called KUYI. It's a Hopi radio. So if you just go Google Hopi radio, and you can listen to it, and they play great music, and sometimes they talk about political stuff, and
And what does Hopi music sound like?
Oh my God! Like they have they have different songs. Like they have regular songs like lullabies and songs about this and that. Like there are songs, but then if you when they do kachina dances, and then they just sing, and there's just one drum that keeps the beat, like a big drum that keeps the beat. But then all the kachinas wearing, rattles and things to get that sound going. So it's very incredible sound. It's very hard to. It sounds simple. It's like these chants, but they're also intricate because they have these beats that are not like all of a sudden everyone knows when to stop, and it's very fascinating music. So you could, if you went on YouTube, there will be some Hopi, songs like if you look at a different dance, like a Comanche dance or a Comanche, and different dances, you could find it on YouTube to get an example. Or if you listen to Kuyi, Kuyi means water. Kuyi in Hopi is water, and that's the name of their station. And water is what's central to them. Everything is about getting the water for drinking and for for the crops. Just like all farmers. But out there, since it's a desert, they rely on the monsoons, the big rains that come in July, and that's why the dances that they have in the summer, which is the home dance and other things. There's so much I've gone out there now for 42 years, and each time I go there, I learned a little more deeper things. So it's their whole social fabric and their it's so much, so you couldn't explain everything, but everything revolves around water.
Good, Courtney?
Yeah, I think the Hopi were related to the Anasazi, the ancient ones. That goes back in that.
Yeah, that's funny. You're right. It's funny that when you Anasazi,
right?
It's like a Navajo word, and it's funny that when these what do you call them? What's a person that talks to tribes or what was it? What are they called?
Would be an anthropologist.
Anthropologist. When an anthropologist comes in and asks questions, why didn't they go to ask the Hopi? They asked the Navajos to have to tell them.
Right.
So really, if you look at these old cliff villages up in there, it's like and I've seen some down in Montezuma. It's down in on the way to Phoenix. Cliff dwellings. They're cut out in the cliff. They're up there in Mesa Verde too, up in Colorado, I believe. They have the same structure as the Hopi village. They have the kivas and the plaza and all this. So it's clearly, their ancestors.
I wanted to ask you, beside the Hopi influences, who were your main musical influences when you were growing up in Sweden, and did you develop your musical talents? I detected a little Warren Zevon in there in your storytelling style.
I love Warren Zevon, so thank you for
I just detected just a touch.
I love his. Oh my God, his songs
and his storytelling songs is incredible. Yeah, we had Mississippi blues musicians were your main influences when you came to the United States, or did they influence you? And do you listen to them in Sweden before you came over?
Yeah, like I said, in Sweden, I listened to Muddy. So Muddy Waters was the first, like blues, and that Chicago blues with Little Walter and Willie Dixon, and that. Then Jimi Hendrix was a big influence. So I listened to nothing but Hendrix from, I would say, 15 to 18 or 19. I was so almost too much into it. So then when I came over here, I started listening more to Robert Johnson and Howlin' Wolf, just to get more material before I maybe have tried to write one or two songs then, but I learned other people's songs. And so then my friend Ward Gaines, who's from D.C., was my early friend I met early, a harp player, and Ward wrote a book on Little Walter, him and some other friends. I forget. I have the book somewhere. But anyway, so Ward played a record of Dr. Ross. His name was Isaiah Ross from Tunica, Mississippi. And when I heard Dr. Ross, there was something else I had never heard. I just heard Chicago blues, but this rural, very African to me sounding almost, the grooves that he would get, it was another, so that blew me away too. So then I just listened to Dr. Ross for a year or whatever, that's how I get, like, if I discover someone that does something, I listen to them for quite a while, so.
Next, we got more questions coming in from the online guy. Let's jump to the next question.
Roz Humphreys in Comox, British Columbia. What's your next project or tour? And thank you for your work and music.
Oh, thank you. So, Nick, I'm going back to Sweden in July. I go to Sweden. My son is, he moved there, so he's 20 years old now, and he goes to a music college there to learn to playing jazz guitar. He's not so impressed with blues yet, but I think he's going to understand the blues, even though blues seems simple. So anyways, my next project, I'm going to Finland, and after that, a tour in Poland mid-August, and after that, I'm planning around August 20th to go to Ukraine and do a fourth tour over there. So we're sort of working on those dates.
And you have another single that's just coming out called She's Right, is that?
Yeah, I have that song, yeah.
What's the story behind that?
Oh, well, that was some years ago. My girlfriend and Esther, we lived together for like 8 years, and she was great, and she was always right, and I wrote that song to her.
Could you play it for
and
us?
to other, huh?
Could you play it for us?
Oh, I love it. So I might have to.
Yeah, when I was in North Carolina, I think, at a shop, and it was probably only maybe 10 years ago, and I finally saw the saying that a happy wife is a happy life, and I was the first time I had ever seen it, and I'm like in my mid-40s, and I was just like, someone needed to send me that memo earlier.
Where were you when I was 19?
yeah, I was like
Precisely. Oh my God! Why would it have to take us so long to realize simple things like that?
Yeah.
Get along tight. Me and my baby never fuss and fight. She beautiful with a great insight. One more thing, she's always right. My baby, I love her, don't you know? One more thing. Never argue with your woman if you want to keep a happy home. I used to love to get a high as a kite. Stop smoking, drinking till the morning light. Now she tells me when it's time to say goodnight. And you know what? She was right. My baby, I love it, don't you know? One more thing. Never argue with your baby if you want to keep a happy home. all the way around. Got the stuff to make a preacher lay his Bible down. Pretty as the morning light, and she's always right, my baby. I love her, don't you know? One more thing, never argue with your babe. Wanna keep a happy home.
That's great.
Wise words.
Thank you.
Did she like the song?
She liked it very much.
Did you say, of course? Of course. Of course. Yeah.
I was going to add one line to make it a little fun. It's like, she's right even when she's wrong, but she didn't like that line at all, so I decided not to use it.
Where are you playing next?
I'm playing tonight at it's a place used to be called Club Soda. Now it's a great Thai restaurant. It's called Thai Love. They still keep the Club Soda name up there because people like Danny Gatton, local great, everyone played in that room. They've been around forever. So you got still that good feeling, and it's a great place to play music and good Thai food now. The owner his name is Amp. It's very great.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Tonight, and that's in
Cleveland Park, Connecticut Avenue. It's right in front of the Uptown Theater.
That's great.
And Club Soda. Like older folks, they wouldn't be familiar with Club Soda. Washington, D.C. Yeah, Washington, D.C., our nation's capital.
That's great. Fantastic. Yeah. Robert, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so very much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Fantastic to have you on. So we really appreciate your time.
Very much.
Thank you. Incredible music. I know what I'm going to be listening to later this morning. So thank you again.
Thank you.
And thanks to the panelists for being here for the first hour and the second hour, answering all those great questions and answering and being part of the conversation in the second hour. Thanks to the producers who had some great questions today. Lots of questions both in the second hour as well as just a host of questions in the first hour. It really makes a huge difference when you're throwing questions, whether it's the QR code or into Makana and voting on those questions. It makes a huge difference, and we really appreciate it's a real short show without you. So thank you so much for throwing those questions in. And if you have those questions, always throw them in 24/7 into the QR code and in every morning, 7 days a week here. And thanks to the incredible team on the back end, a special shout out to Marty Atias, who did a lot of work to make sure that this show went well with Robert, and so thank you to Marty, but thanks to the whole team who works on making sure that everyone's prepped every day for the show, that we know what we're going to do in these shows, that we're going to cut the show well, that we're developing the tools, for these shows. Just it's an incredible village that comes together all day, every day to make this happen, and we really appreciate everybody's contribution. We traveled today. If we had the Tlaloc Traversal is if we had to walk around and ask these questions in person, we would have traveled 46,000 miles, 74,000 kilometers, and that is 366 million bananas for scale. All right, let's go ahead and jump into After Hours. Okay, I need that guitar every single time while I'm doing the end. I mean, that was perfect. That was perfect.
Play us out. Yeah.
It would be so good, dude. That's the way to close a show. Some blues guitar underneath.
You need your play out music, Alex. It's just, put it in your contract.
So good.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Robert, we're working on some tests with stereo video of single concerts. We might try to reach out to see if you want to play.
I would love to.
Be people in Apple Vision Pro being able to watch you play.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Okay, we'll talk to you. We're working on a series. I'm gonna try to pull Todd into it as well.
That'd be awesome.
So, yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, see you. All right, bye.
Thank you.